Welcome back to another video here at Axio Social. My name is John, and today we're talking about a mistake that your church could be making that could end up costing you thousands of dollars. But before we get into that mistake, we need to take a step back and go through a little bit of a history of organic reach on social media. If you don't know, organic reach is the amount of people that essentially see the content that you're creating without you spending money on ads. Now, at the beginning of social media marketing, if you want to think about it that way, platforms like Facebook, there was a pretty high amount of organic reach. You could reliably create content and get it out there in front of people. During this period of time, there was a ton of effort into growing the number of people that liked and follow your pages or your accounts because you could reliably distribute content through those platforms and reach the people that have liked your pages. As time went on and algorithms changed, it got more difficult to reach new people to kind of bring them into your audience. And then as time progressed even further, it even started to get hard to reach people that have already opted in, who have already liked your page. And that's a lot of where we find ourselves now. You might have 1,000 people that have followed you on Facebook, but when you post something on social, specifically Facebook, Instagram really works the same way. You might have 1,000 followers, but if you post, they might show it to maybe 10% of that audience, which is very, very small in comparison to what it used to be. Now, there have been different kind of opportunities over time as platforms have changed where organic reach has kind of creeped back up. Usually it coincides with some addition to the platform. So for example, when they added stories to Instagram and Facebook, that was, kind of a boost in organic reach for a little while. Those platforms are trying to incentivize people to use those new features. Now we're seeing that same thing with vertical video on TikTok, on Instagram for Reels, same thing on Facebook. The platforms are trying to incentivize you to create content the way that they want you to create it. So there's a bit more organic reach on Reels than there are for photo post or other horizontal video formats. With our history lesson out of the way, it's time to reveal what is the mistake that your church might be making that is potentially costing you thousands of dollars. And it's this. Where we sit right now, organic reach on social media platforms is fairly low. Now, I'm hearing some of you in the content right now saying, man, all of the experts are saying that vertical video with Reels and TikTok, organic reach is very high, that you can get your content out there in front of a lot of people. And technically, yes, that is true. There are some really great opportunities right now if you learn that platform, or if you learn that vertical video short form content, you can get your content in front of a lot of eyeballs right now. But I want to look through the filter of what does that look like for the church? Short form video content has a handful of things that it really needs to be successful. You've got to be good at hooking somebody in. You've got to be good at keeping someone's attention. Typically, it's high energy, high editing type of content that does well on these short form video platforms. If you contrast the qualities of the high performing short form video content that I just described with the type of content that the church typically posts on those platforms, you start to see they look a little bit different. That high energy, quick, in your face, short form content really isn't kind of the skill set of the church. There's not too many churches or too many people in the church that are creating content like that performs really well. For most churches, the staff is really built around delivering that weekend message. It's the primary thing that gets delivered to church congregations each and every week. That's a much slower pace. That's a captive audience. The pace that you're going, the energy that you've got, and the time that you have to tell your story arcs is so much longer that it's very, very difficult to find this 60-second high-energy interactive clip that would perform well on social media. So if most churches can't or aren't pulling off really high production, great short-form video content, what does that leave us with? That means that the age of organic reach for churches on social media is kind of over. So what do we do about that? I think it's time to change the way that churches are thinking about social media. Rather than organic posts that you're putting out there, getting in front of new eyeballs and leading to new people coming into the church, I want you to shift your thinking a little bit. Now, if we look at consumer behavior or the behavior of someone searching for a church, likely they're going to Google, go on your website, they're going to end up on your social media profile. So it's important that the content there is good, but it doesn't have to be the most amazing thing that someone has ever seen, because what they're looking for in that moment is all the same questions that a new visitor typically has for your website. Where are you located? What time are services? Am I going to fit in here? What should I wear? What's the experience like when I come and visit your church? You can answer those questions on social media without having the most amazing short form vertical video content like you see other businesses and influencers creating on these platforms. So if we continue to answer those questions that new visitors have, that content may or may not get in front of a lot of people. So what are we going to do about that? That leads me to the mistake that most churches make, and it's this. You're going out and hiring photographers, videographers, graphic designers, social media managers to create this wonderful content, but you're not spending any money on ads. Since the type of content that most churches are creating doesn't get a whole lot of organic reach outside of our kind of own circle there, ads is going to be the primary way that we get our content in front of eyeballs of people that have not yet checked out your church. Think about it like this. Let's say you needed to create a flyer for an upcoming event. Would you spend $300 on a graphic designer to create that flyer if you were only going to create 10 copies of it? It doesn't make sense. It's out of balance. It's that lack of balance that I'm trying to point out here. I want you to be investing in photographers and videographers, graphic designers, social media. I've personally done those jobs at churches. But if you don't have a budget or you're not dedicating funds for ads on these online platforms, things are out of balance. So as you look to grow your staff, as you look to get your church, the content that you're creating in front of eyeballs of people, try and grow those two categories at the same time. Invest in people to create this content, but at the same time, invest in an ad dollars to be able to put that content in front of people's eyeballs in your community. If we do this in balance, I think churches will see much more benefit from the content that they're paying to create each and every week. And our ads are incredibly targetable. So instead of just blasting social media content out there into the ether, hoping that someone sees it, with ads, you can say, hey, I want to show this content to people in this age bracket, in this income bracket within 5 miles of my church. That is a way better investment of your dollars than spending a whole bunch of money to create content and then just sending it out to anyone that happens to come across it. You might be asking yourself, where do I even begin? I've never done ads before. What does a budget for that look like? Let me give you kind of some parameters that might help you out. For the clients that I work with at Axio Social, I ask that they commit at least $500 a month to their Facebook ad budget. And we've been able to create some really amazing results for churches doing that $500 a month. We've got one client here in Kansas City. We were able to grow their weekend attendance by 45% doing this exact strategy. If you've never created Facebook ads and would like some help with it, I'm here for that. That's why my company exists. I would love to talk to you. Leave a comment. Check us out on our website. You can get in contact with me that way. I would love to work with you to help you create an ad campaign that grows your church. That's it for today's video. If you've got any questions, leave them down in the comments below. If you like this content, make sure and subscribe, hit that like button, or share it with someone that you think might find it valuable. That's it for today. See you next time.